Hello everyone, this is Reza, and in this video we are going to continue with our humanoid walk cycle straight ahead. So this is part 2. In part 1 we pretty much finished the lower body and the walk cycle and the timing for it. In this one we are going to focus on the hip control, chest and neck, and the overall polishing for the walk cycle. Now I am looking at this cycle and there is no weight shifting happening. So what I mean by that if I go to frame 7, the weight shift should take place and the character should put the entire weight on one leg, otherwise the character will fall. And right now that is not the case, so let's make it happen. Obviously this is happening through translate X, and right now I have starting frame and end frame but not mid frame. So let's take care of that. I'm going to go to the mid frame, right click on translate X and set a key. So I have 3 keyframes to work with. That is bare minimum and we should have at least 3. Now since the weight shift happens around frame 6 or 7, we can actually have it on frame 7. Then this means that if I select the move tool, shift drag, I should be able to offset everything in translate X. So our weight shift starts from frame 7, which is correct. Now I can select the first frame and select the end frame with the move tool selected, shift middle mouse, and I can change it. And you can see the change in value, and I think something like 0.3 or 0.29 should be a good value. I can just go ahead with these 2 keyframes selected. I can just punch in a numerical value. So I'm gonna go with 0.25. Now for this one, it needs to be a reciprocal value. I'm gonna go with minus 0.25, and let's have a look. That's better. Now you can see the weight shift clearly takes place. Now next I'm going to have a look at rotate Z. This guy right here, and we've got pretty much a similar situation. In case if you're interested, rotate Z is this guy. So a little bit swing to left and right. I tend not to rotate hip because that makes the walk really feminine, and this is a dude, needless to say. So I want the walk to be rugged, so rather than keyframing the hip control, I will target the root control and have a little bit of swing to left and right. Now from our research, we should already know that every time you go ahead and create that line, you have to think about countering it by having an opposite line for the chest control. So keep that in mind. I'm going to get rid of it. Such a cool tool, this crease tool. Right, so let's do it. Rotate Z. I've got start frame, end frame, no frame 14. So I'm just going to go to frame 14, rotate Z, insert a keyframe, and it happens around frame 6 or 7. Since I've already put my translate in frame 7, I'm going to do the same thing for rotate Z. I'm just going to select everything with the move tool selected, shift middle mouse, and drag everything into frame 7. So everything starts from frame 7 for that specific channel. Now I'm going to select the first one, I'm going to select the second one with the move tool selected, shift middle mouse, and move it up just a tad. Maybe I put some numerical values in there. Again, you don't want to overshoot, so let's go with 1.2. and of course as soon as you put that number, you go into frame, used to be frame 14 but now it's frame 21, you go and put in the opposite, so 1.2. so this one is going to be minus 1.2. excellent. I might actually select everything, press F to frame it, and let's have a look. That's better. More fluid. It's not too rigid, is it? Good. That looks good. Next is the chest control. As you noticed in the previous video, I'm going from the root out. So we looked after this in the from the hip to the chest, and then arms, and then a little bit of a neck and head control. So the chest should do pretty much the same thing. I have almost nothing on it, and what I want as my first pass is that rotate the Z again. So a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Don't make it too much, otherwise it's going to be one of those don't mess with me type of guys. So we don't want that amount of exaggeration, but what we need to begin with is frame 0, 1 key, and I'm going to, I don't know if I have any keyframes, I'm sure I don't, but copy, paste, 1 frame, 14, paste, so at least it gives me 3 to work with. Good. So before I forget, because I do forget, believe me, I'm going to go to post-infinity and pre-infinity and cycle them. Nice. Back to rotate Z. And we already know that the hip rotation happens around frame 7. So what I can do, I can again select the whole thing with the move tool, drag everything to frame 7, so everything starts from frame 7. And what I have is a little bit of a rotation in here. So I am going to select rotate Z and probably -2. I think I made a mistake. It's 0.2 and 0.2. And -2 for the middle. -0.2 for the middle. So it's positive 0.2. Frame 7, positive 0.2 from 35, and minus 0.2 frame 21. Let's see what we're getting. Yeah, that's better. Now you can start seeing some personality in that guy. Just to show you how much this makes a difference, if I go and exaggerate that, see how different this looks? And believe me, once we drop in those arm swings, it really gives it a personality. Now I think 0.5 is a bit much. I'm gonna go with 0.25 and minus 0.25 for my frame 21. And everything's cycled, so nothing to be worried about. Looks good. All right, the next one would be the head control. So I'm just going to switch to side view. It's just 1 frame at the beginning, frame 0. So we go 1 frame 28, 1 keyframe 14 in the middle, insert a keyframe, frame 7, insert a keyframe, frame 21, insert a keyframe. Now I'm going to select everything. F to frame, and while I have this, post-infinity and pre-infinity set to cycle. Now what I want to target right now is this rotate Z. That's the type of movement I want to get, and it needs to be very, very subtle. So I'm going to select the frame 7 and frame 21 with the move tool selected, hold down shift and move it up a little. Maybe round this to 4, and the overlapping should happen around here. So I may want to go to frame 4 and bring everything to frame 4, just 4 frames of overlap, and we want that overlap to happen at least a few frames after. So let's see what we're getting, and again it would help if I just hide NURBS controllers. Not too bad. I still think it's a bit much. So how about 5? Yeah, that's good. And again, repeating myself here, but you should technically look at 27 frames, not 28. Yeah, that's better. So let's see what we used. 5 for when the character looks down, rather, and a value of 2 for frame 0, 28, and 14, and we've offsetted everything by 4 frames. Now we want to do the exact same thing for this rotation right here. So if I go here and press R and rotate Y, a little bit of side to side, and that for sure needs to be very, very subtle. So I don't want the character to do that. It's rather funny unless you're going for some humor. That's usually not how it works. But again, I already have my frames here ready to go. Just going to see if I can lower this down. So maybe -1 and 1 should work. Let's see, I might be wrong. Again, these are all the things that you just need to triple check, review, and see if the numbers work. No, that's definitely too much, and it's giving me more like a floating head, which I really don't like. So 0.2 minus 0.2, let's see what we're getting. Yeah, that's better. It has to be very subtle, almost not noticeable. That's good. I like that. Now, finally, I think it's time for us to work on the arms. So let's go to perspective and let's see what we have here. So basically in frame 0 and 28, I want the left arm to swing back and rotate Z, and then in frame 14 to be front, where we have the opposite leg front. So let's create one keyframe, or do we? Let's pose it first. So I'm going to look at it here. I don't want too much of a swing, maybe -25. And if I'm looking at it from rotate X, it's a bit too wide. I'm going to bring this down a little in rotate X. Again, I don't want too much swinging happening. It's not a really cartoony character. So I'm going to go copy, go to the nth frame. I'm going to go paste. And in frame 14, I'm going to move it back. All right, that's not too bad. Now, obviously, there's absolutely no offset for the elbow, for the wrist, and this is something that we are going to fix very quickly, very soon. But for now, I'm just looking at this from a different angle, just to make sure it looks normal. What I would like to have is the arc, and I'm not getting it. So it's a very straight line from back to front. Now I'm going to go to frame 7 and I'm going to pick my rotate Y and widen this a little, maybe just a little bit more frame. That's more like it. I'm going to use the same frame, frame 21, doing the same trick. And look at rotate Y. I'm having this. Obviously, everything needs to be cycled. And rotate Y is not too bad. Maybe I bring this down to 2 or even more, maybe 5. We'll see. Yeah, that's better. I really like that randomness about this movement. I don't want that to be too stiff, Now let's go ahead and look after the elbow controller. Now, very similar to shoulder controller, we need one frame for frame 0, another one frame 12, another one frame 14. Now I want this elbow to bend when the character moves the arm back, and that's where we want that elbow bend to take place, around frame 21. This means that I need to offset the whole thing 7 frames. But again, while I'm in the middle of this, I'm just going to rotate this maybe 13, while the other 2 frames are set to 0. Actually, this one is not, so let's this one frame 0. I'm going to go to here. Oops. I'm going to go to frame, yep, that should do it. So frame 0, I've got, yeah, frame 0 and frame 28 and frame 14. So 0, 0 and a value of 13. But as we all know, if I play this right now, it's going to be a bit weird. We don't even notice it because everything happens at the same time. So what I can do, I'm going to select this guy. I need to make sure that pre-post infinity has already been taken care of. I'm going to go to frame 7 and let's move this one back 7 frames, or push this forward rather 7 frames. Yeah, that's good. It's much better. If I were to exaggerate this for you guys to see, and again, just for the purpose of seeing exactly what's going on, that's how it happens. So you can see the move slides back. I think I'm gonna go with 20. All right, let's take care of the wrist now. So we are pretty much going to rinse and repeat for the wrist. Frame 0, frame 28, frame 14, and frame 14. Now, obviously, we need pre-post infinity, and I need to select all 3, press F, and I need to offset them. So we did offset on the elbow by 7 frames. Let's go with this one. Let's set it to frame 9. With the move tool selected, I'm going to go frame 9. Going to hide curves. Yep, you can totally see the movement. Let's look at it from the front view. I'm gonna hide the other hand so you don't get distracted. Yep, that should work. And again, I'm playing back 28 frames per second. It has to be 27 frames. Good. Almost there. Okay, I'm just gonna bring the controls back. I'm looking at the side view. I noticed that the movement, apart from the Z that is absolutely required, I felt like it's a little bit too much. The movement for the other rotate Y and rotate X, I'm gonna reduce them to half. Minus 21 is definitely too high. I'm gonna go minus 10. And let's have another look at the result. Now again, a lot it can be done. I can just work on this guy forever. For example, one thing that you guys can do is to create that movement when the character moves his arm forward. So around this here, I can go to rotate Y, and just for this particular channel, I can just offset it by 2 frames, have it in frame 11. So you can see that makes a difference. Now let's go ahead and copy our keyframes from the left arm and paste them to the right arm. It's exactly similar to how we did this with the feet. Let's start with the arm and then go to the elbow and to the wrist. So with the arm selected, I'm gonna shift, drag, right click, copy. Then I go to the right arm. I don't need any frames because I'm gonna paste my own. Go to frame 14, right click, paste, paste. Now I'm gonna go select them, frame them. They look okay. What they don't have is pre-post infinity. Gonna get that sorted now. And now if I play, beautiful. It's working. Let's do the same thing for the elbow. So I'm going to select the elbow. Now this one has got a bit of offset here, so be mindful of that. I'm going to just select rotate Z. We start from frame 7, so if you start from frame 14, you have to actually move 7 frames and start from frame 21 to actually have that offset. Now it makes more sense once I do it. So you select, I'm just gonna include all the frames. This is frame 35, so I'm just gonna increase my time frame to 35 and 35, or 36 rather. I'm gonna select everything, right click, copy, go to the other one. I don't need any keyframes. Instead of starting from frame 14, because of that 7 frame offset, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm gonna start from 21. So paste, select them, press F, look at this. Yep, that looks correct to me. I'm going to have pre and post infinity, and let's play. Looks good. I'm going to again bring things back to 28 per second, and I can actually only look at 27 frames. Yes, perfect. And we are going to do the same thing for the wrist. Fantastic. Okay, let's have another look at the walk cycle. Now, I think that swinging to the left and right for the chest controller is a bit much, and it's coming from the rotate Y of the hip. So -7, I'm gonna set that to -5, and 7, I'm gonna set that to 5. Let's have a look at that again. Looks good. I'm actually going to look at this from perspective and with no controllers, just to observe what's going on. Let's have another look. All right, that's great. In general, I think I can still tone down the arm swing a little, not to go too far back or too much at the front. So these are the things that comes from your artistic decisions. So if you would like to, make decisions like that, then it's just very, very straightforward and easy. You just have a look at your outliner and think about, all right, if that's the translate Z and I'm rotating it to 25 and -25, maybe I need to go only 15 and -15 and just see what sort of result you're getting and take it from there. So now I'm getting a little bit of less swinging happening for one arm, which I think is a good call. And again, another thing that you can do is randomize this a little bit. So for this one, once we use -15 for this one, you may want to use -17 for the other one, and 17 for the positive. So it's not completely symmetrical, but at the same time you need to be careful. You don't want that to be too unusual. So that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've learned a thing or two, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye.